All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to revise some biology, we're going to get inside the head of an examiner. We're going to take a real AQA GCSE exam question and use the official mark scheme to figure out exactly how to nail every single mark.
See, this isn't just about knowing the right answers. It's about learning to think like an examiner. We're going to uncover the specific keywords and the exact phrasing they're looking for. It's all about applying what you know with a bit of strategy to make sure you get the grade you've worked for.
So here's the game plan. We're diving deep into question 3, a chunky 15-marker. We'll start with variation and cloning, jump into a Punnett square, then look at designing a fair test, and finish up with a big question on selective breeding. Let's get started. Okay, first up, let's tackle variation. These first few questions are all about the basics: what makes organisms different, what makes them the same, and how the world around them plays a part. So what does the mark scheme actually want from us here?
Question 3.1 asks, what's one good thing about having genetically different tomato plants? Now, the mark scheme gives you a few options. You could say something about having variation and a desirable trait, like maybe some taste sweeter than others, but honestly, the classic biology answer, the one that really hits the mark, is about disease. If they're all different, a single disease isn't going to wipe out your entire crop. That's a huge advantage.
So now for the flip side. What's the advantage of having them all genetically identical? Well, for a farmer, this is all about making life easier. The mark scheme is looking for practical answers here. If they're all identical, you know they'll all have the good characteristics you want. They'll probably grow at the same speed, and, this is the big one, they'll all be ready to harvest at the exact same time. Super efficient. Next up, a quick definition. What is tissue culture? Easy mark here. You just have to avoid overcomplicating it. The mark scheme is looking for one simple idea. A group of cells is grown into a new organism. That's it. Keep it simple, get the mark.
Okay, so this question is a bit of a classic. If two plants are genetically identical, why might they grow to different heights? This is all about the environment, right? It's that whole nature versus nurture idea. And as you can see, the mark scheme will accept pretty much any sensible environmental factor you can think of. Different amounts of water, sunlight, minerals in the soil, you name it.
All right, let's switch gears and get into some proper genetics. It's time to tackle a Punnett square, that classic tool for predicting inheritance. This one is all about sex inheritance in dogs. So, question 3.5 is a 3-mark Punnett square. Here's how you get those marks. Nice and easy. You get 1 mark for putting the correct male gametes along one side. That's X and Y. You get your second mark for the female gametes on the other side. That's X and X. And that final third mark, that's for filling in the squares correctly to show the offspring, 2XX and 2XY. Simple as that. Now, building on that, question 3.6 asks why we'd expect a 1-to-1 ratio of males to females. And the great thing is the mark scheme gives you a few ways to say this. You could just point out that half the results are XX and half are XY. Or you could explain that there's an equal chance of an X or Y sperm fertilizing the egg. You could even just refer back to your diagram and say it shows a 50% chance. Any of those will get you the mark.
Okay, we're shifting focus again. We're moving away from pure genetics and putting on our lab coats to think about experimental design. The next couple of questions are all about how you'd run a proper, fair scientific investigation using some data on chickens.
So here's the data we're working with. We've got a couple of bar charts comparing 2 different chicken varieties, A and B. One chart shows how fast they grow, and the other shows how many eggs they produce. This is the info we need for the next few questions. Now, question 3.7 asks for control variables. In other words, what things do you need to keep exactly the same to make sure it's a fair test? The mark scheme gives a whole list of good answers. Temperature, the amount and type of food, how much light they get, the space they have, even the age of the chickens. You only need to name 2 to get the marks.
And why on earth did the farmer use 500 chickens of each type? That's what 3.8 is about. Using a big sample size is just, well, it's good science. And the mark scheme rewards you for knowing why. It makes your results more valid or more representative. It helps to smooth out any weird results from oddball chickens, anomalies. And it just gives you a more accurate average or mean in the end.
Okay, here we are, the final challenge. This is a 4-mark question, so it's worth a good chunk. It asks you to lay out step by step how you'd use selective breeding. Let's break down exactly how to secure every single one of those points.
To get all 4 marks here, you just need a clear, logical process. The mark scheme basically gives you the recipe.
Step 1, you take the best of variety A, say the best egg layers, and the best of variety B, the fastest growers, and you breed them together. Step 2, you look at their babies, their offspring, and you pick the ones that have both traits you want. Step 3, you breed those selected offspring together. And step 4, and this is the one people always forget, you have to say that you repeat this whole process for many or several generations. That's the key to getting that last mark.
And that's it! We've made it through the entire question. We've picked apart every section and seen exactly what the examiners are looking for. So let's just step back for a second and think about what we've learned from cracking this code. You know, what this really shows is that just knowing the biology is only half the story. Real success in these exams comes from applying that knowledge with skill. It's about using the right keywords, structuring your answer in a logical way, and really understanding what the question is asking. Seeing how the marks are given out, that's your secret weapon. It helps you turn everything you've learned into the grade you really deserve.
So, by breaking down how an examiner thinks, you've got a whole new way of looking at these questions. You're not just answering them anymore, you're actively hunting for the marks. So the only real question left is, now that you have this new skill, what are you going to go and master next?